The political and entertainment worlds collided in absolutely stunning fashion yesterday when it was confirmed that Jin, the eldest member of BTS, is staying at the Palacio Nacional, Mexico's presidential palace, as a personal guest of President Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo during his time in Mexico City for BTS's concert, creating an unprecedented situation where a pop music performer is receiving head of state-level hospitality that is typically reserved for visiting foreign dignitaries, heads of government and royalty. The decision to house Jin at the presidential palace rather than at a five-star hotel has triggered a security and crowd control nightmare as tens of thousands of army from across Latin America have descended on Mexico City's historic Zocalo Plaza and are essentially laying siege to the perimeter of the government complex, camping out with banners and light sticks hoping for a glimpse of Jin, and creating a situation that Mexican security forces and police are struggling to manage without either disappointing the passionate fans or allowing the demonstration to disrupt normal government operations. The fact that a K-pop fan gathering has effectively surrounded one of Mexico's most important government buildings, and that authorities are treating it as peaceful celebration rather than security threat demonstrates both the soft power that BTS wields and the remarkable tolerance that President Sheinbaum's administration is showing toward what in most contexts would be considered unacceptable disruption of government facilities. Why would Mexico's first female president, elected on a platform of serious policy reform and national development, choose to personally host a pop star at the presidential palace, and to embrace the chaos that inevitably comes with housing someone who commands such passionate fan devotion in a government building? According to statements from the Mexican government and sources close to President Sheinbaum, the decision to invite Jin to stay at the Palacio Nacional was apparently motivated by a combination of genuine personal admiration for BTS's cultural impact and artistry, strategic recognition of the soft power and international attention that hosting a BTS member brings to Mexico, and possibly some element of relating to Jin as fellow professional, who operates under intense public scrutiny and pressure. President Sheinbaum, who herself has faced enormous pressure and attention as Mexico's first woman president, apparently sees some parallel between her own experience of being constant focus of public attention and the experience of BTS members who similarly cannot move through the world without being observed and discussed by millions. The decision to extend such unprecedented hospitality despite the obvious security and logistical complications it would create suggests either remarkable confidence in her security services' ability to manage the situation or deliberate choice to embrace the spectacle and attention as beneficial to Mexico's international image and cultural relevance. The detail that has both army and political analysts absolutely stunned is that photographs and reports from Mexican media show not just Jin being hosted at the presidential palace, but apparently being given actual tour of government areas that are typically closed to public and being treated with protocol normally reserved for visiting heads of state, with President Sheinbaum herself reportedly spending personal time with him discussing art, culture, and the pressures of public life rather than just offering perfunctory greeting before leaving him to staff. This elevation of a pop culture figure to receive the kind of attention and access that foreign prime ministers and presidents receive when visiting Mexico represents either revolutionary rethinking of what constitutes important international relationship and cultural diplomacy or concerning blurring of lines between entertainment celebrity and genuine diplomatic significance that critics argue diminishes the seriousness of government and international relations. The fact that Jin is apparently responding to this extraordinary treatment with genuine interest and engagement rather than treating it as just another luxury accommodation adds interesting dimension to the situation, and suggests that the interaction between artist and president may be creating genuine mutual understanding rather than just being photo opportunity or publicity stunt. The Palacio Nacional where Jin is staying is not just any government building but the seat of the federal executive in Mexico, a massive historic complex that occupies an entire side of the Zocalo Plaza, and that has served as center of Mexican government power since the Aztec Empire, making it one of the most symbolically and historically significant locations in the entire country. The decision to house a foreign pop star in this loaded symbolic space, rather than in one of many other government properties or luxury hotels available in Mexico City, sends powerful message about how President Sheinbaum views the cultural and diplomatic importance of BTS, and about her willingness to use unconventional approaches to international cultural engagement that previous Mexican administrations would likely have avoided as insufficiently serious or dignified. The security arrangements required to protect Jin while he stays at the presidential palace while also managing the thousands of army who have gathered outside hoping for glimpses of him, have apparently strained Mexico City's police and security resources, with officers being pulled from other duties to maintain perimeter security, manage crowd control, and ensure that the fan gathering remains peaceful and doesn't interfere with normal government operations or with access for government employees and officials who need to conduct regular business. The decision about how to balance respect for fans' rights to gather peacefully in public space against the need to maintain security and order around critical government facilities has apparently created ongoing negotiations between security officials, fan representatives, and the presidential administration. The army encampment that has developed around the Zocalo and the presidential palace perimeter includes fans who have traveled from across Mexico and from countries throughout Latin America, with many having camped overnight or for multiple days hoping to see Jin either arriving, departing, or possibly appearing at windows or on balconies of the palace. The organization and coordination visible within the fan gathering, with designated areas for different fan clubs, scheduled chanting and light stick displays, and volunteer coordination to maintain cleanliness and order, demonstrates the sophisticated mobilization capabilities of BTS fandom and their ability to create structured gatherings even in spontaneous circumstances. The Mexican government's official response to the army gathering has been notably tolerant and even welcoming, with President Sheinbaum reportedly viewing the peaceful fan demonstration as positive expression of cultural enthusiasm rather than as threat or nuisance, and with some government officials apparently even engaging with fans and acknowledging their presence as legitimate expression of support for their favorite artist. This embrace of pop culture fandom at highest levels of government represents remarkable shift from traditional attitudes that would likely have viewed such gathering as undignified spectacle to be discouraged or dispersed, rather than as cultural phenomenon to be acknowledged and accommodated. The specific accommodations and treatment that Jin is receiving during his stay at the presidential palace have been subject of intense speculation and investigation by fans and media, with various reports about private chef services, personal security details, guided tours of historic rooms and artwork, and possible meetings with other Mexican government officials and cultural figures. The level of luxury and personalized service that the presidential palace can provide apparently exceeds even what the finest hotels could offer, with access to spaces and experiences that are simply unavailable to normal travelers regardless of wealth or fame. The diplomatic and cultural significance of Jin's presidential palace stay extends beyond just the immediate circumstances of his Mexico visit to broader questions about how nations can leverage relationships with globally influential cultural figures to enhance their own soft power and international perception. Mexico's decision to embrace and elevate BTS through extraordinary hospitality sends message to global audiences about Mexico's cultural sophistication and openness that traditional diplomatic efforts could not achieve as effectively or as economically, essentially gaining enormous international attention and positive association through relatively modest investment of hosting one celebrity with extreme graciousness. The impact on Jin personally of receiving this extraordinary treatment and of experiencing Mexican government hospitality at the highest level has been subject of speculation, with observers wondering whether such elevated treatment affects how celebrities view themselves and their importance, or whether Jin's known humility and groundedness will allow him to appreciate the experience without letting it inflate his sense of his own significance. The fact that he reportedly has shown genuine interest in Mexican history and culture during his palace stay,